Could Kelly McCrimmon be cooking up a trade that no one suspects? Our Chris Golick with a deep dive into his theory next, right here on Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. The start of a new week. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Find us wherever you get your podcast. And please subscribe to the Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. Chris, so you're telling me that there might be a chance to bring back Max Comtois or Tobias Slewfoot Bjornfoot back to Las Vegas, off-season trade deals? Is that where you're headed here?
I guess.
Are you saying that perhaps Shea Theodore is traded to make space to sign Jonathan Marchessault to say a 2 to 3
That's what
year
everybody says.
deal?
Everyone's saying that's the premise of what we're talking about, is the fact that everybody and their mother's mother, happy Mother's Day, by the way, not you, but just a general statement. But the fact that everyone is out there talking about Theodore and stuff like that. So keep going with your open.
No, I'm good. So where is this trade going? I set it up for you.
No, I hear you. So listen, everybody, first of all, it's May 13th. The Golden Knights aren't in the playoffs. So this is when the shows kind of take a turn. We start talking about what we think is going to happen as far as the offseason, next season, and, just kind of speculate a little bit. But when we speculate, we're doing it with the mindset of what's happened previously with this team. A lot of players are thinking there's this crazy, a lot of fans are thinking there's this crazy amount of loyalty to players right now in the VGK organization. And I think that's a false narrative. If there's one narrative that's consistent, it's that there isn't loyalty, but I'm okay with that. Let's be clear. It's about putting a team on the ice that's going to have a chance to win a Stanley Cup. And Kelly McCrimmon is absolutely heartless and ruthless when it comes to that. I'm not knocking him when I say it like that. That's just what the reality is. You can take a walk down trade memory lane if you forgot. But the premise of our discussion right now is McCrimmon might be working on something to keep Jonathan Marchessault. So I think that's where all this is heading, Tony. But I think you could see something that you didn't expect, right? Who expected Riley Smith leaving 11 days after the parade last year? Probably 3 weeks before his charity softball game. No one saw that coming. Marc-Andre Fleury traded for nothing to the Blackhawks. No one saw that coming. Couple other trades that kind of caught you off guard. Or one more. Why am I drawing a blank right now? I'm drawing a blank on some. Point being is that no one saw the Tomas Hertl trade coming. Like, these are trades of big names. Even Noah Hannafin to a degree, that was another big name. So everyone out there thinks, and there's a lot of writers, local and not local, or people who claim to be local who are not local, making all these statements about what they think is going to happen. But no one knows. Let's be clear. No one knows at the end of the day what McCrimmon is going to do. And whatever he's going to do, no one's going to be able to predict it. That's the premise of what we're talking about right now.
Okay, so what is your surprise trade then, Mr. Golick?
I think we're on the 2-year anniversary of Logan Thompson calling me a donkey for when I suggested he might be traded a couple of years ago. So I think somewhere in that range is where I would start my discussion. Now, why Logan Thompson? He had 45 appearances last year, did pretty well. Well, let's talk about Logan Thompson. Let's talk about Logan Thompson's situation. Adin Hill, first of all, is the starting goalie in this organization. No question. No question about that. This is Adin Hill's net as long as he is healthy enough. Look what it took for Adin Hill not to be the game one starter. He had to absolutely falter down the stretch so badly to the point where the team had no choice. The team had absolutely no choice but to start Logan Thompson. We've talked about Sean Burke, the goaltending coach for the Vegas Golden Knights, and Logan Thompson's relationship. It's not great. It's not great at all. The proof is in the amount of starts that Logan Thompson gets when Adin Hill is healthy. How about the fact that Logan Thompson had a .921 save percentage and they went right back to Aiden Hill, who did very well in the playoffs. I'm not knocking Aiden Hill's performance, but that was risky. Contract situation for Logan Thompson. This is the final year of a deal that pays him a whopping $762,000. I think Yuri Patera's contract, it pays more from an annual average value perspective. So there's a lot of things to suggest where maybe Logan Thompson is underappreciated. I don't know. I'm just throwing some stuff out there right now, but I don't see Logan Thompson as the long-term goalie for this organization. Not because Logan's not a great goaltender, but the relationship of, him possibly something with the team. I don't know.
Okay, here's something I want to throw out there in Steve
Tee it up.
Carp fashion. Robin Leonard, right? Is there any way to get him off of the books? He's on LTIR.
He's off the books already.
Does the NHL check on him? That's a big question there. A cap hit of $5 million for one more year. And why no buyout? Why? Because McCrimmon says we don't do that? Is it still the same parameters of like $750,000 the first year and then $2.5 million and 1.75 or whatever for 3 years? Why not get him off the stinking books? And then they might be able to have some flexibility.
Well, but he is off the books. That's the thing. I mean, his contract is nil as far as the Golden Knights are concerned. You make an interesting point about why would the NHL not force a buyouts? And my only response to that is, can you buy out a player who is not healthy enough to play hockey? We don't know what his situation is. But the one thing I will say is, you mentioned about the NHL, why don't they check on Robin Leonard, and are they? And we don't know. Let's be clear. We're a couple of non-entertaining podcasters who are not journalists. Just kind of speculating right now about what's going on. But maybe it's just more of an LTIR discussion here in general. People who think the Golden Knights
parking lot.
There you go. But my point, no, this isn't a parking lot thing. This is simply that the Golden Knights, if there's a time when the Golden Knights are going to check every box, dot every I, cross every T, intersect every X, is that how you're supposed to say it? Anyway, my point being is that the Golden Knights aren't going to try and pull off a weird scandal, if you will, with parking Robin Leonard, even though he's healthy. Back to the Mark Stone situation. It would take an incredible set of cojones for Kelly McCrimmon, George McPhee, and Bill Foley to not make sure everything was where it needed to be on the up and up with Mark Stone to put him on the LTIR, because the same situation happened 3 years in a row, to a T 2 years in a row. It would be incredibly dumb, excuse my language there, for the Golden Knights to simply try and pull something off, knowing the NHL is going to come at them harder than they ever have before to make sure everything is on the up and up. Same applies to Robin Leonard in his situation. But Leonard is irrelevant as far as his cap situation. Leave him on LTIR. Where he's probably still making his money from the Golden Knights. That's Bill Foley's problem, not ours.
He has not healed, though. That's what I'm saying. He's not better. He's not in a better place now than it was a year ago.
Well, we don't know about him physically, and I don't want to speculate too far into this at all because I'm not comfortable doing it, but we also don't know the situation between the eyes with him. We don't know about his mental state as well.
Another question that I've been thinking about for the past couple of days is, why did VGK so quickly sign Noah Hannafin to the extension after he was traded here?
I mean, obviously that was in the works from day effing one for Noah Hannafin when he was going to come to Vegas. It was rumored right away, like within days, if not hours after it, that there was going to be a mega deal in the works for Noah Hannafin. And it's definitely the right deal. I mean, I think having Hannafin into his until age 33, I think is when his contract expires. He could be at the top of his game for most of that contract, just coming into his prime right now. Only going to get better. We both had nothing but the highest of marks watching him on the ice and what he brings. And then, the part of the premise of this, we can go back to Shea Theodore. It really looks like that Noah Hannafin is the replacement to Shea Theodore, should that be the path that McCrimmon decides to take in order to extend Jonathan Marchessault. Golden Knights situation is roughly $6.5 million to work with, but you got Amadio, Carrier, Alec Martinez, Anthony Mantha, Mike Amadio. I don't know if I said that already. Yuri Patera, and Pavel Dorofeev, who all need contracts to a degree. Patera and Dorofeev will get extensions, whether it's 1 or 2 years. They're in situations where they're restricted free agents, so deals will get worked out. But that right there is probably $2 million off the books collectively. Now there's $4 million. Jonathan Marchessault isn't taking $4 million. Chandler Stevenson, another one who has an expiring contract. So that's going back to the title of our first segment here. This is where the creativity of not just McCrimmon, but George McPhee and Bill Foley allowing them to do so comes into play. I think something's coming that isn't on any of our bingo cards. I don't know what that is. You're not going to see like Eichel or Pietrangelo or Stone or Hannafin, anything dumb happen with those guys. I think William Karlsson is on the protected list, unfortunate for Tony. But after that, I think everybody is in play. Barbashev, Whitecloud, McNabb. I'd hate to see that happen, but McNabb, another player coming into a contract year. Logan Thompson. I don't think Aiden Hill is anything going to happen there, but Logan Thompson, just the return that you can get for Logan Thompson while finding a goalie who, I mean, this would satisfy Tony having another goalie in the organization with NHL experience. But do you want that to be a 3-headed monster or a 2-headed monster? That's the question.
I know that you always praise McCrimmon, but he's had some busts here of late. The Mantha deal, I mean, for the amount of time that they put into scouting Anthony Mantha, that's an absolute bust. I mean, you're always talking about how good McCrimmon is, but for every one of these good deals, so Hannafin, again, still has to prove himself, and you've got him for 8 years. You have 6 more years with Tomas Hertl. No telling, right? I mean, there's no guarantee that he's going to return to his former status. And then
so here, Anthony Mantha, let's stop for a second. Yes,
Awful.
There was some capital given up, but Anthony Mantha, as far as what the Golden Knights were on the hook for, was less than what they're paying Nicholas Waugh. Keep in mind, he got Mantha for half of his salary. Other teams picked up the other half. So when you look at the fact that they've paid fourth line center money for Mantha,
right,
it's a lottery ticket that worked out okay in the regular season, just not in the playoffs.
Remember what VGK was saying last year about the fact that Barbashev, they scouted him all these times and all this stuff and all that work, and crickets on Anthony Mantha. Coming up next.
It didn't work. It happens. He's got a pretty good track record, Tony. He's got a good track record.
There's nothing else to do since VGK went bust on us in the first round. Coming up next is the 2025-26 starting goaltender already in the Golden Knights system. We'll get to that when we return right here on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. With Policygenius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million in coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical. It's very much a convenient service. It's time-saving, and Policygenius helps you to compare your options from top companies, and their team of licensed experts is on hand to help you talk things through. Talk to a team of award-winning agents who will walk you through all of the process step by step. Easily compare quotes from America's top insurers in just a few clicks to find the lowest price. You know, some things that you might not be thinking about, you might not be as well covered as you think because your work life insurance policy might not cover you enough. You might not have enough protection for your family. Even worse, it may not come with you if you leave your current job. So we talk about a lot of the reasons why Policygenius is trustworthy. Well, it gives you an unbiased opinion from a licensed expert and a support team, and they have no incentive to recommend one insurer over another. Again, you could check life insurance off of your to-do list in no time at all with Policygenius. Just simply head to policygenius.com/LockedOnNHL or click on the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes. See how much you could save. Again, that is policygenius.com/LockedOnNHL. Back from Las Vegas, Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick reporting. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Off to a roaring start in the new week. Don't forget, on Fridays, we've got WTF. Saturdays, the Chris and Chris Jr. Show. It's taking on. So Chris has gotten a lot of the younger followers to jump in there, no? Doesn't he, created his own little fan base there? all
Well,
his junior guys.
he's having a good time. Actually, we had a kind of more of a private thing, but I coached our youth team. Chris obviously is on the team. We actually recorded a podcast for our team specifically yesterday, and it actually went really well with the families and stuff. So that was pretty cool.
What's it called? What's the name of the team?
Young Guns, like the hockey
Locked
cards.
On Young Guns.
Locked On Young Guns. Actually, that'd be like the Prospects, but that'd actually be a really good channel.
Is the starting 2026 goaltender for VGK already in the system? Hill and Thompson expiring contracts at the end of the 26 season. So we're looking ahead. And is that next generation goaltender already in the system? No way. Absolutely none.
I mean, unless it's going to be Isaiah Seville, Carl Lindbaum,
He's not 6 feet. He's not
or
6 feet.
Jesper Vikman. I mean, unless it's one of those fellas, and I don't necessarily know a whole lot about them, but that would be a heck of a jump to go from basically the ECHL all the way up to the Golden Knights in a short time frame. I think the premise of this part of the conversation, again, we'll start with Adin Hill, right? I mean, Adin Hill got Tony's favorite situation, career year, although it wasn't a career year as far as the regular season went for Adin Hill. It was a career 22-game playoff run that led to him getting a $4.9 million bag, a $9.8 million bag. And listen, good for Adin. I'm glad that he got paid, and I'm not saying it was undeservingly so, but I think they paid Adin Hill for what he did in the playoffs instead of looking at what his overall situation is. So again, something I've reminded everyone on the show a million times about, but here we go. Adin Hill had 35 appearances last season, which was a career regular season best. Before that, he had 27 career regular season appearances as his career best, also with the Vegas Golden Knights. Prior to that, 25 appearances, 21-22. 2020-21, Arizona, 19 appearances. 18-19, 13 appearances. 19-20, 13 appearances. So we're talking a starting goalie, at least getting paid as such, with 139 career games dating back to 2017, 2018. I guess he doesn't have a lot of mileage on him. So point being is that what is Adin Hill? I mean, listen, if Adin Hill can have 60 appearances next season and put up a .915 save percentage and the Golden Knights have a deep playoff run, then okay, fine. Maybe Adin Hill is going to be the man, but he's not going to get 50 appearances next season. He might struggle to get 40 appearances next season as a $5 million goaltender. Logan Thompson is such a bizarre situation. We hit on it a little bit in the first segment, but just a couple of reminders that Logan Thompson never received consecutive starts in the regular season as long as Adin Hill was healthy and ready to play. That didn't happen until the first 4 games of the Stanley Cup playoffs where, oh, by the way, Logan Thompson puts up a .921 or .925 save percentage, and that's not good enough to have him in the lineup in the most important games. So how do the Golden Knights value Logan Thompson? He's worth a heck of a lot more than $762,000. Do the Golden Knights look at Logan Thompson as the man starting next year where it's going to be his net, or he's going to be a co-starter who they're willing to pay between $3 and $5 million? I think the answer is HE double hockey sticks. No.
Are you saying perhaps that VGK never should have let Michael Hutchinson go?
No, the Michael Hutchinson trade, I'm still not over that, Tony. I'm still very upset about that.
There's no way that I believe that VGK will or should extend either goaltender. I think they're overpaying right now, Adin Hill, right? I think perhaps. And then the other thing
Adin
too
Hill's
is
contract was bad last season. Let's be clear about this. Adin Hill's contract was bad for the Golden Knights last season.
right. And then the other thing is VGK does not develop goaltenders. And that's a key position where they should be developed.
Well,
Yuri
Logan was
Patera
developed
Yuri Patera can't start more than 5 games in a season. Come on.
Well, that's, I think, and that's put this on the napkin about the managing of the goaltenders. That's something for the parking lot and something I definitely want to talk about. But the reality is Yuri Patera had 6 appearances, I think 5 decisions, 6 appearances in the 2023-24 season. Okay, fine, whatever. But again, we're talking about is the future of the Golden Knights net for 25, 26 and beyond in the organization now. And you did mention about VGK not developing goaltenders. I'll push back a little bit. Logan Thompson, Brandon Wheat Kings, I think free agent. I don't think he was drafted. I could be wrong.
No, he wasn't.
And
He wasn't. Yeah.
They did develop him to where he is now, which was probably a 6-year investment into him that I think comes to an end. I mean, possibly sometime in the next couple months, or I think definitely at the end of this season, the upcoming 24-25 season, whether that ends before the playoff starts or a deep playoff run. I think Logan Thompson's days with the Golden Knights are numbered, as he possibly predicted back in December when I asked him about the pressures of being an NHL goaltender. Aiden Hill, we've talked about his health. I don't see a path to him getting an extension and being on the roster for 25, 26 and beyond. Now, Isaiah Seville, I mean, he is getting a lot of starts at the ECHL and AHL level. Carl Lindbaum, I've seen other people talking about Lindbaum. I don't have a lot of details about him. He's a 20-year-old right now. As a 22-year-old, is he getting the keys to the Ferrari? I don't think so. And Vikman as well. I mean, fine, 22-year-old young goalie, but it takes a while. Logan Thompson, you saw how long it took for him to get to where he is now. And I don't know if Lindbaum, Seville, and Vikman have that time, if they can get it going that quickly. I just think it's this kind of becomes a plug and play position. I mean, if there's the easiest position, in my opinion, to find talent out there is going to be for goaltenders. There's going to be, I mean, Jonathan Quick was a free agent last year. Tony banged this drum a lot harder than I did, but the Golden Knights should have never let him go. There's another Jonathan Quick out there as far as free agency next year. There's going to be a few.
You need five goaltenders to be successful, Chris.
You need 5 goaltenders and Teddy
Larry
Brugger, and you got to ditch Michael Hutchinson, and there you go. You're good to go.
Okay, so Hill, I think it was 35 starts this past
35
season.
35 appearances.
Okay, 3 postseason. I take a look at again inconsistencies, right? In losses, Hill was 15-12, a 3.76 goals against average, and an 879 save percentage. But when he's in his zone, he's at in the wins 1.92 and 948. That's inconsistency to me.
You just described every goaltender in the NHL, though. I mean, when you lose, it's bad, and when you win, it's good. You could argue about run support and some of the losses and stuff like that.
He's still giving up 4 goals a game. He's given up 4 in losses. So when they lose, they lose.
That's why they lost, Tony. But I mean, listen, I get what you're saying. And I think
if he's losing games and he's given up like 2 to maybe even 3, right, goals per game, and his save percentage is still over 9, then at least it's more competitive, right?
You're not wrong on that. And I think what I'll say is you look at the eye test for Aiden and Logan, but I think Aiden, you can just see it a lot differently when Aiden's game is a little bit off. Maybe it's because he's just a bigger body. I don't know. I'm making stuff up there. But my point is that when Aiden Hill is off, you see it a lot better. And I don't mean that in a good way. You see it a lot easier versus Logan Thompson. Just there's something about Aiden. And we've mentioned Robin Leonard way too many times on this podcast today, but there's something you see in Aiden's game that resembles Robin Leonard sometimes. Not often, but just, yeah, that's where I'll leave that.
And Thompson, 46 games played, 42 started. He did have 25 wins this season.
Logan, listen, my premise about Logan Thompson and him not being the 25-26 game 1 starter has nothing to do with Logan, the goalie. It has nothing to do with Logan Thompson, his ability. It is simply based on reading the tea leaves. Tony, your favorite. It's reading between the lines. It's stuff that I've heard through many different people about his relationship with the organization. It's concerns about his relationship with Sean Burke. It's concerns about him not being trusted. I mean, if you can't trust Logan Thompson, what he's done for this team in the last now 3-ish seasons, dude's got to go. End of story. He needs to go. And get a fresh start somewhere else, which sucks because I think kind of like Jonathan Marchessault's statements, I've done everything I can to stay here and, done everything, what has Logan Thompson done wrong? I mean, I've heard some attitude things from some random people and stuff like that. So what? Everyone's got some attitude issues. I mean, I don't think Logan Thompson is a locker room cancer. I'm not even suggesting anything near that, but he's also a younger player with some pressure and people deal with it differently. But Logan, great goalie. I think he's a good dude. I don't know him personally, but I just don't think the relationship is salvageable after the 25-26 season with the Golden Knights, which is why
Okay.
Segment, maybe that's the trade no one sees coming.
Okay, and goaltending definitely, if not something over the summer at the trade deadline, we see some movement there.
I think it's tough because we heard what McCrimmon said about Yuri Patera, and Yuri Patera painted a good picture for him to be the man in the event there's injuries and stuff. Well, there was a lot of injuries last year and chances for Patera to get more game action, and they don't trust Patera. That's clear as day.
Coming up next, we'll take a look at the NHL playoffs and give you an update there and talk about everything that's happening and not on Locked On Golden Knights. Passion, drive, and patience, what brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle, level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and much, much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you will always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back, because with eBay Motors, you are burning rubber and not cash. Well, the parts you need, the prices you want, it is easy to turn your car into the MVP and to bring home that big W. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Locked On Golden Knights. You can find us on YouTube. Of course, please subscribe there. And that's where you find the Chris and Chris Jr. show on Saturdays, plus all the coverage each and every day. On Fridays, it's WTF What the Friday. Reading the article yesterday about this being the worst season for allergies ever in the history of the city. So where do I go yesterday?
Got allergies.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's a fog rolling in. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, no. So I went. So what do? I go outside yesterday, and I go golfing, which it isn't really golf. I don't know what that is. It's some sort of a contact sport, whatever.
Dude, invite me to golf with you. It'd be fun, man.
Dude, it's awful. It's a long day.
I know.
The talk of the NHL playoffs last night, goalie interference should have waved off Florida's second goal, trailing Boston 3-1, and they came back and won the game. Sam Bennett shoving Charlie Coyle from behind into Jeremy Swayman. Boston winds up losing that game and now can be eliminated on Tuesday in South Florida, where Bruce Cassidy is on the beach.
Yeah, I mean, my gut was interference. My gut instinct said Sam Bennett created a situation that did not allow Swayman to play his position. What I did like is the NHL Situation Room in Toronto did issue a statement like 5 minutes after it was considered a good goal, and they said there was contact, but they didn't believe there was enough contact. Reading between the lines, I put this out there on Twitter. I think that the NHL felt there was no chance that Swayman was saving that puck, so they're not going to overturn the call on the ice. Fair foul or otherwise, I just think that's what the NHL was thinking. If there would have been a cross-checking penalty called on the play, it would have been a lot easier, obviously. But the NHL Situation Room would say, well, there wasn't a penalty on the play. Is Swayman going to save this puck? No. Good goal. Okay, fine.
That's weak. That was weak.
Yeah, I mean, and I have right now on loop here, Connor McDavid absolutely getting bamboozled at the end of the. You saw that, right?
Yeah, a cross check from the front and then cross check from behind.
Yeah, let's be clear. Connor McDavid did slash a Vancouver player which started this ruckus. Although I think they were coming in to crush him either way, but that's just me. But yeah, McDavid takes a two-handed chop on the side, and then Zadorov gets him in the back, and who they call Saucy, Saucy, just got him right in the chin. I mean, here's my concern right now.
Is that going to be reviewed?
No way. Here's why. You got what happened with Sam Bennett and Brad Marchand. You got Jamie Benn out there annihilating people. You got this situation in Edmonton right now. The NHL is cool with all of this. Fair, foul, or otherwise, the NHL seems to be fine with all of this that's happening right now. And where do they draw the line? I don't think they're going to. I don't think they can unless it's terribly egregious and someone leaves on a stretcher. And this is a concern as a fan watching players getting, I mean, listen, Brad Marchand is who he is. I don't think 85% of the NHL fan base didn't mind seeing Marchand just get cold cocked and knocked out and concussed and missing time now. I don't agree with that theory, but that's just how it is. There's a lot of people, especially in Vegas, eating popcorn watching McDavid getting cross-checked. But these are things that shouldn't be happening. I don't care if it's a Golden Knights player. I don't care if it's McDavid. I don't care if it's Brad Marchand. I don't care if it's Pietrangelo doing it in a playoff game to Leon Draisaitl. Like, that was suspendable. So the NHL is taking an interesting perspective right now and letting a lot of things happen, and I don't like it.
Swayman, I like that he smashed Tkachuk, and then Tkachuk, they were just doing
that a few times. It wasn't just him. He was everything that anyone that went near him. But look what happened.
Okay, and my contention, why do the VGK players have that kind of personality, mentality? Adin Hill does at times, and I told you when I went to Game 6 a couple of weeks ago, he was barking at the players there on the ice of the Dallas Stars. So he has a little bit of that in him, but you need to have that mentality now as a goaltender, because you can't just have players camping out in front of you.
No, and listen, Adin Hill, I thought, did a good job of that in the playoffs. I've been critical of Logan Thompson's ability to fight through the screen, and Logan, I think, got better. You know, I think you watched the show. No, I think Logan definitely got better at it.
His hero, again, was Marc-Andre Fleury. Fleury's not soft, but he likes that kind of acrobatic style and all that, and likes trying to put on a show. If he just would get back to the basics, I think he'd be much better. That's just my 2 cents.
There's multiple ways to get around the screen. You move your head, you get your vision, you take the top of the ice, you take the top of the crease, or when someone's in your grill, you let them know you're not going to take it. After a couple chops to the back of your legs from that goalie paddle, it's going to change your perspective on standing there. Hopefully a defenseman does something about it too, but the Golden Knights defense, we'll call that an area of opportunity, clearing the crease. I don't know if that's a parking lot topic, but that's something we can bring up every now and then. Because how many times, Tony, again, this is my favorite thing to bring up, how many times was there an overhead replay, that camera that looks directly down on the crease, you see an opposing player get a tip and get a rebound. It's just the goalie, the crease, and the opposing player, and all this beautiful white ice that needs to be Zambonied around without another Golden Knight. At times, multiple opposing players and no Golden Knights.
Anthony Mantha was supposed to be that guy. He was supposed to be him. The New York Rangers came out flat on Saturday looking to close out their series with the Hurricanes. Of course, I'm a Ranger fan, screaming at that game, yelling. They didn't play well, and they come back and they tied the game, but then Brady Shea's late power play goal, first power play goal for Carolina in 17 attempts in this series, and Shesterkin did not play well. And again, the Rangers trailed in this game. They were down 2-0. They were down 3-2. And can the Rangers close out this series? I'm concerned still.
It's over.
Rangers in Florida would be pretty good. That would be a great series.
Rangers in Florida would be a great series.
So stinking rigged for Florida. I agree with you, John Cooper. I agree.
How about Vancouver 2-1 in Edmonton? How about that with their third string goalie? That's I love it. I mean, the Vancouver Canucks, they're an own goal away from being up 3-0 in that series.
Crazy, right? And Arthur Silovs has been great in goal, although Leon Draisaitl disagrees. He said the goaltending wasn't good. He goes, if you call, hitting post, if you call that good goaltending, that's not really good. But the big news in Vancouver is that yesterday, prior to the game, Thatcher Demko was taking shots in net and should arrive back in this series. But now you've got a decision to make. Do you stay with him? And then Skinner was pulled. I know that you are so down on Edmonton's goaltending, but
Calvin
the great one, another trade that went awry. Calvin Pickard, the first pick of VGK in 2017, came in. He was supposed to save the day, but he couldn't. Not even he could save the day.
How's this podcast going 35 minutes? No, I mean, listen, the goaltending drama in Edmonton, who would have seen that coming? Let's go to Dallas and Colorado now.
Okay. Dallas up 2-1 over the Avalanche, and we saw this stifling defense. They are so tough when they get into that groove. They cannot lead after 2 periods because they make you bleed to death. It is excruciating to watch. I mean, they shut them down. Like, it was a 4-1 final. And what are they now after 2 periods? Like 43-4, something like that.
They're
just
like
amazing. Pete DeBoer's
like
done a great job defensively with that team. They'll go bust.
Like the 72-10 Chicago Bulls. I mean, they're that good as far as when they're ahead, leading a game and not giving
by
up
1
that
goal.
lead.
But it seems like they're up by 4 or 5, and
Listen,
it gets so
I know
frustrating.
People still have a hard time giving Pete DeBoer credit, but let's give Pete DeBoer credit. He's got that team ticking in a way that's going to make him very tough to beat. And, you know, what's difficult to watch is the fact that the Golden Knights could have been right there if they could have found a way to hit an empty net in Game 7 or just find a way to win that overtime game. And that's what's tough as a Golden Knights fan, not a journalist, barely a podcaster, and definitely not an entertainer. Is that the Golden Knights could have handled Colorado in that series, but that's not the reality.
We appreciate everyone tuning in. There's nothing to talk about in the off season, but yet we're going way over our marks here, 37 minutes and counting. We appreciate you tuning in, especially our everydayers. Of course, don't forget Fridays WTF, Saturdays the Chris and Chris Jr. show, the YouTube exclusive. Please subscribe to Lockdown Golden Knights. For my man Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Lockdown Golden Knights, and please take care.